I'm Kyle Spurgeon, President and CEO of the Jackson Chamber. A lot of things about the Equity Project and the conversations that we've been having have really made me look at not only the world, but really Jackson a lot differently. And what it has made me realize is we don't talk to each other near enough. We don't talk to understand, and most importantly, I don't think as a community, and some individuals do, but not enough of us don't, we don't listen to learn and listen to understand from each other. Because when you do that, you start to realize that there are different Jacksons. There's a lot of us who are white folks who live in a white bubble. There's a black community that may live in a black bubble somewhere. We may be around each other at different times, but we really don't sit down and talk to each other and listen and figure out what's going on and try to be just a little bit empathetic at times, because Jackson is a great place to live, but it is a place that is different for different folks in our community. You know, I think probably the biggest concern that I've begun to realize is that Jackson will never reach its potential unless we're all working and listening to each other. Because face it, we're basically a community, 50% black folks, 50% white. So we've got to have everyone at the table talking. But again, more importantly, we've got to listen. And if we don't do that, we're going to have the same Jackson as we've got today. And the same Jackson that we've got today, or the Jackson that we've got today, is not going to be a successful Jackson 10 years from now or 20 years from now. So unless we continue talking and bring a bigger group of people to the table and listen to each other, this community will stagnate and we're not going to grow. Yeah, I think these disparities exist because of something I've mentioned several times before. We don't listen to each other near enough. There are folks in this community that are strong leaders in the black community, strong leaders in the white community, but how often do they sit down and talk to each other? When they sit down, they may talk at each other, but they don't really pull information out of each other to figure how can we work together. And I think, you know, you look at these disparities and they're probably here because too many of us are continuing to do things the way we did them 50 years ago or 20 years ago. And you know, there's that saying that if you continue to do things the way you've always done them, you'll always get the same result. I believe that happens a lot with race discussions here or race relations, that we're not talking and listening and trying to find new ways to work together and really understand each other. So I've talked a lot about the conversations I've been, and I say very fortunate to be a part of. One of the most impactful, I don't think I said a word. And in that conversation, there were 6 or 7 white leaders on the call, a Zoom call, because that's what we do this year. And there was 30 to 40 other leaders across West Tennessee who were all black folks. And a lot of us, the 7 white folks on the call, we all listened. And for me, there were several folks on that call that I knew and a few that I had known for 20, 25 years, ever since I've lived here. 2 things really stuck out to me. One gentleman who is recognized, he is a leader in this community. Have known him and his family for years. And he mentioned that there were places in Jackson he just didn't go. Now, this is not a guy that's going to be scared to go anywhere, but it was more about being accepted. And he just didn't feel like, you know, this situation or this event might be looked at as a white event or a white place, and he would just rather not go. And this isn't an introverted kind of guy. He would do that. But to hear him say that he just wouldn't go, really impacted me. And then there was another lady on the call, and she referenced a conversation she had with someone here in town. And the person on the other end of the line thought that they had hung up their cell phone. Well, they hadn't. And the things that she heard as a black woman referencing her were words I think a lot of us know were very prevalent in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And we think, you know what, that doesn't happen that much anymore. Well, it does. And she heard it firsthand. And to hear her talk about hearing those words, how it affected her, you know, it's really made an impact on me in that these are things that black folks in our community face every day, and the feelings that they have with that. So until you can understand, and I'll take that back, I don't think you ever really understand as a white person, but you can hear and listen and try to learn what folks in this community are feeling. Until we do that, we're not going to be better. So that's what the Equity Project does. It gives a very safe and open environment to have those conversations. And personally, I look forward to being a part of a lot more of those. So I'm a part of the Equity Project because I'm a leader in this community. I'm president and CEO of the Jackson Chamber. And I can remember several years ago, I had a board member that really complimented our staff and our whole organization. And what he said was, this chamber has the seat, or has a seat, at the table for every major conversation that affects this community. Well, equity, equality, racial reconciliation, all of that is the most important conversation we can be having right now. And so it's very important for me as a leader in this community to be a part of that. And I think, you know, in the meetings, I talk, but I also listen quite a bit because I've learned just so much from being a part of those conversations. And I encourage you, whether you want to be a follower, a leader, but be a part of the conversations and sit down, talk, but do more listening than anything, and learn what other folks in this community are facing, because I think when we do that, Jackson's a great place. It can be better, and when we do that, it'll be an even better Jackson and a more equitable Jackson.